is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub. And with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Well, we are up to one of the most exciting weeks that could ruin your fantasy team or make you excited for fantasy season so you're not disappointed until the guys get on the field. It is the week of free agency. Now, we always record on Sundays, so we're not going to go deep into free agent predictions because some of you can listen to this on Thursday and it's already over, or Monday at 12:01 and they've already unlegally tampered and legally tampered and all that good stuff going on. Next week, we'll look into where people landed, what changed, and it looks like it's going to be a running back carousel, or I'm seeing a lot of things saying everybody's going back to where they started. So it's an exciting week. It's the thing is a lot. How much of it could affect fantasy, like directly as far as players? We won't know.
I feel like a lot of it's going to direct fantasy, especially for the top end running backs. I mean, there's several running backs that, whether or not they go back to their same team or not, it's still affect fantasy. I think it'll be a couple of wide receiver moves. I think there's going to be a lot that actually is directed towards fantasy. Of course, it's like that every year, though.
Yeah, there could be some trades that come down the pipeline. Some people going, ooh, I really want this new toy. I'm going to dump him. If you play defenses in your leagues, you're going to see some changes. Like one of my favorite players is Christian Wilkins in Miami. I heard a rumor of him going to Houston. Houston has some money. They're a contender. Detroit has some money. They're a contender. Once again, I'm saying this is over by the time some people hear this. So I'm not going to go too far, but we're going to highlight 4 exciting things that happened this week. Oh, super excited. The last one is the best, the absolute best, all-star, everybody's favorite. We're going to start with the JJ Wang special. Not another JJ in this world. You're not the only JJ there is. There's Jerry Jeudy, your boy out of Denver. Oh, wait, no longer out of Denver. He is now Deshaun Watson. And I've heard rumor of some other guys coming in to replace Deshaun Watson, but we'll see. He's now the Browns' number 2 receiver behind Amari Cooper, or is he the number 3 receiver behind Eli Moore, or is he just going to continue to suck in the NFL? But 5th and 6th round pick, Jeudy to the Browns. Does it Does it get you excited, Jerry Jeudy lover, for a fellow JJ?
Not really. Still, Deshaun Watson really didn't show much last season. If he's the starting quarterback, we'll have to wait and see. Amari Cooper is still the guy. Amari Cooper's always been the guy. I don't see anybody taking over his spot. And the battle between him and Eli Moore, might be maybe what he needs. I think that's going to be a close one. But yeah, I don't really. I like Jerry Jeudy. I think you should probably hold on to him if you're having, because if you try to, you're not going to get nothing for him. Even if people do like it, they're going to try to lowball you for him, say you suck. Probably best bet is just to hold on to him for a while, see what happens. But not really too excited.
Yeah, I was excited as I was 2 months ago because he's still Jerry Jeudy. I was reading some things about like that wide receiver core in Alabama that one year with Jeudy, Smith, Waddle, and Ruggs. Disgusting. And one guy was on the thing going, Jeudy might have been the best in college, but then he just sort of did not transition well. Whereas, Smith and Waddle, you can argue week to week who's having a better week. They both could be top tier receivers for their teams, once the 2 guys ahead of them move out of the way.
Yeah, I like Devonta Smith a little more than Waddle. Waddle just, I don't know. Waddle just scares me a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I like him the other way. It could be his bias too, but I just see Devonta Smith. All he got to do is run into one of those safeties, and then he's going to be
all Waddle has to do is run into a safety. He's going to get crushed too.
He's not nearly as little as Devonta. Devonta Smith.
When I'm talking 15, 20 pounds, you getting a safety coming across the middle, you're going to get crushed either way. But, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, true. Because he's so stinking fast. And then the excitement, my favorite sightings of the week involved the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A little bit of the same this year. We'll see how they build around this. First, the early in the week was Mike Evans signing a 2-year contract, $56 million. The future Hall of Famer got re-signed. That excites me. And everything I heard at that point was there is no way Mike Evans signs this contract if Tampa Bay doesn't guarantee they're re-signing Baker Mayfield. And Baker, as of, I'm glad we recorded later today, he is going to be re-signed by Tampa, supposedly for about $100 million for 3 years. So these guys are guys you want on your fantasy team. Superflex Baker, but Mike Evans, is he top 10?
I think he's still top 10, maybe top 12. I mean, he is getting older. At some point, he's going to crash. I still have a lot of faith in Baker Mayfield. I know Baker Mayfield had a good year, which is fine, a good year. But that's really all he's had. He had half of a good year a few years back. So I'm still a little skeptical on Baker. I mean, he got his money, fine, but let's see if he can continue being this kind of quarterback. And if he is, it bodes well for Mike Evans because Baker really seems to like Mike Evans. So
I think it bodes well for Baker Mayfield that Mike Evans is there, and
oh yeah, definitely bodes well more for Baker.
yeah,
But like I said, but as well as if Baker likes throwing the Mike, it seems like he throws the Mike Evans every time he drops
I
back.
hope so.
So
I
kind of
hope
bodes
so.
well for Mike Evans too. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's the Baker's. I'm excited for that because the podcast I listened to earlier this week, they even brought up like other receivers in Tampa, like my boy Trey Palmer, who I'm a fan of my boy Trey Palmer, and they're missing Godwin, who fell off the planet. I don't know if Baker doesn't like him or if maybe they'll figure it out this year. But speaking of Baker, would you rather in Superflex, or who would you feel more confident starting? Baker with White and Evans and Otten and the pass catchers he's got, or Trevor Lawrence, who might lose Calvin Ridley, possibly coming back. I mean, we'll know by the time you hear this, most of you.
There's not a world I would
Not a world
ever
where you
start
want.
Baker Mayfield over Trevor Lawrence. I'm sorry, I don't care.
Yeah, there's a fantasy world where I think
That would
I
never
could
happen.
see him being better than Trevor Lawrence this year. But speaking of
I
which,
mean,
Trevor Lawrence,
maybe, but I'm still not starting Baker over, especially in the beginning of the season. I mean, if we're in midway of the season and Baker's killing it and Trevor's looking like crap, then yeah, I would probably start Baker. But I mean, if they're comparable, I mean, I'm still starting Trevor Lawrence over Baker Mayfield.
I mean,
If you're not, why is Trevor Lawrence even on your team? Just trade him away.
well, I'm telling you, I'm worried about Trevor Lawrence. Mac Jones is a Jacksonville Jaguar, and I hope everybody catches sarcasm in that tone, but the Patriots just traded Mac Jones to the Jags. what it
I mean, it's good. I think it's good for everybody. I mean, maybe of course Mac Jones isn't going to be a starter. Not going to At least he's not going to compete. But I mean, at least it can kind of get the stink off his name a little bit. Maybe for people forget about him for a year and you get some positive news out of camp that Mac Jones turns into a good teammate. And it helps gets him out of the Patriot system. Nobody wants him there anyway. So I think it works. I think it works well for everybody.
You know, Mac Jones was cheaper than Jerry Judy. Mac Jones
Yeah,
was a
so I could
sixth round
probably
pick. Judy was a fifth and a sixth. Both are kind of duds.
Yeah,
And they played together,
at
right?
least Judy's going to. Yeah, I think so. But Judy's going to play. Mac Jones isn't.
Yeah, well, we thought that this year too. But anyway, so real quickly before JJ Wang gets into his college football special, we're looking for somebody who has technical expertise with Zoom. So if you're watching us, JJ Wang got a new computer. We even tried new cameras. But if you watch us, I look all handsome and shiny with my camera here, but JJ Wang has a circle around his head. We have tried everything. I've looked up research. If anybody knows why the Zoom, we record on Zoom because we're an hour and change away, why JJ Wang is a big giant circle on the screen, please email us, thefantasycouriers@gmail.com, or send us a message on Facebook or Instagram, or pop us a message because we're trying to figure out how to get JJ Wang in there, get rid of the gray black background, and get him back on his screen. But JJ Wang's doing it for you guys, moving up in the world. In case you didn't know, JJ Wang, he's been doing it. You wouldn't have noticed it. We're letting the cat out of the bag. He's been recording on his cell phone, and I tell you what, it looks pretty good as far as I'm concerned. No one would have known had we not. But now he's stepping his game up for you guys. He forked over the cash. So if you want to send him a couple $100 too for his computer, he's more than willing to take it.
I would take it, but yeah, don't do that. Okay, so we did quarterbacks and wide receivers last week. So I'm kind of in a process of trying to figure out how I want to do this because I don't want to sit here and act like a professional. But I've been watching a lot of the film, and so I'm just going to judge. Like, I can't judge these guys how they're going to be in the NFL because you just really don't know, right? It's like college just doesn't really translate like that. And plus, you just don't know where they're going. You can have the number one running back here go to a team that already has a running back, and it ends up being a split backfield for the first 2 years. So you just never know. But I mean, I think there's a different set of running backs here. You got your big guys, your little guys. What's your favorite kind of running back? Whether it's fantasy, of course, you like the pass catching back in fantasy. I mean, you got to be able to catch. But your favorite kind of back? What does he look like?
He is big and he runs over people. I mean, you would think like I build my teams a lot of times with scat backs, but I shouldn't. I only have to do that because I'm a zero RB theory guy. So like having Derrick Henry the last couple of years, knowing that he's going to get there and he's just going to boulder in because the big guys, they're the touchdown makers. The scat backs, you might get stuck with, oh, he had 2 catches today and 6 next week, and it's more. But what I've learned from just over the years is NFL guys, they want those backs to be over 200 pounds. That's like almost like that's their line, like an over 200-pound guy with good size. And to be honest, the best thing for me is location. And for me, with a lot of these things, is location, location, location. If a running back gets drafted behind the top, like Christian McCaffrey, if the 49ers draft a running back, it's like the number 1 guy on our board here, he's screwed. You're good. It's location, but it's a big back with good hands, which I mean that makes sense, right? Because it'll have means he's sturdier, less chance of getting run over, and he can catch the ball.
Yeah, I mean, if you can have a big guy that can catch the ball, I mean that's ideal because that's going to be a third down back as well, and plus the goal line. Yeah. So the first guy I want to bring up, you can call me a homer if you want. I wasn't a fan before this week, but after going back and watching the film, I mean, it looks kind of exciting, and that's Trey Benson out of Florida State. I mean, so when I do these running backs, I'm going to try something different here. Remember the game or the competition back in the day, Star Search? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You stand up there and you get 4 1/4 stars. You get 4.5 stars, 4 and 3. That's like so I gave these guys a number ranking, see how it turns out. And I'm gonna go rookie search style. Like, of course, first guy I go with Trey Benson. Like we were just talking about size, so he's got ideal size, 6'1", 220. So I mean that's exactly what you want. He can make people miss. I mean, his vision's okay. I mean, he's college, so it really doesn't matter. Not much of a blocker. Not too many running backs in college are. He can catch it a little bit. I mean, he's not out there running routes, but I mean, a toss out of the backfield, swing pass, underneath. I mean, he can definitely catch that. He got good power, good speed. I think his big play potential is fantastic. I mean, when you watch him, he doesn't get caught. So when he breaks, a couple of these running backs, when they break out, they get that big play. They get called from behind. I didn't see Trey Benson get called from behind. So going with his rookie search number, I give him 8 1/4 stars. I mean, a possible 10. So 8 1/4. He's the best running back, I think, in this draft. Before the next due to injury. So I think you're looking at probably the end of the first round for Trey Benson by the time the rookie draft comes around. Maybe that 10, 11, 12 spot.
Man, you're being adventurous. They don't draft running backs. Got to be like that. The next coming of like Bijan, like was.
Well, I'm not talking in the first round. I'm not talking around the first round of the NFL. I'm talking fantasy draft.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking NFL. I'm like, dude, these guys are going second round. I mean, generally,
these guys might not even go in the second. These guys might not even go in the second round. I'm not even talking about the real NFL draft.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. About fantasy draft. It's going to be what quarterback, and then Marvin Harrison in there, and then a bunch of those receivers you talked about. So I could see him 8, 9 there. I like the big guy. He hits that big guy profile, like 216, 60, and he's fast. You said breakaway. I mean 4.39, 40. Holy moly! That guy's going to run over you and then run away from you and then all he's going to do though, you also think he's going to come into the pros. He's going to get bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida State's not a schmuck program, but in college, some of these guys come into the pros. He's going to put on some more of the pro muscle mass too, and so he's going to get stronger. I mean, he only had 20 catches last year, so that's not great, but it's better than remember that guy McBride who had, was it 0 or 1 last year, like in his entire college career. So he had 11 his junior year in that, but I was excited. Like I don't know any of the guys, the order he's given them here, and I was looking at him, and I was like, man. I wonder if JJ gets this one, and I like that he's not. And it's funny because I don't know what other rankings the board that I'm using here as my basis. He's number 5, but I like putting him on top.
I mean, they're all over the place here. I mean, everybody's got their different opinions. So the next guy, this guy, I think would probably be consensus number 1 if He tore his ACL towards the end of the season. That's Jonathan Brooks out of Texas. I mean, this guy looks fantastic. Him and Trey Benson go head to head when you watch them on tape. I think the only difference is I don't think Brooks has like the top end speed that Benson has. Brooks can kind of get caught from behind. Of course, he didn't run in the combine, so you don't really know how fast he is. But everything else, I feel like is the same. I think he's a plus back when it comes to receiving. He catches a lot out of the backfield. I mean, the way the Texas offense rolls. So, I mean, if we're looking at our rookie search numbers, throw in toward ACL, I mean, I think it drops him a little bit, maybe in the second round of fantasy, but I think he still goes pretty high. I give him 8 stars here. I mean, he looks fantastic. I mean, he might miss this season, but I mean, you're getting a quality running back the next year because ACLs just don't hurt these guys the way they used to.
Yeah, what's the time frame?
So you know, that's
when did he pull that? What was the ACL? When was how late was that?
It was towards the end of the season. I'm not exactly sure. I failed to find that, but I think it was like last three or 4 games. There was like eight games of film that I was able to look into. But so we'll skip him. We'll go to Marshawn Lloyd out of USC. So when I was looking at this guy at the combine, I mean, this guy just looks like a monster. He's another guy, ideal size, 5'11", 220. So I mean, he's got the ideal size. He's not super fast. His big play potential is okay. He can get caught from behind as well. Of course, he's not much of a blocker. So we're looking at the rookie search number of 7 and 7.25 star. So when I see Marshawn Lloyd here, when he does translate, I see him more of like maybe the number 1 guy in a 2-back system. I think that can be Marshawn's upside there.
Yeah, that it's funny. I mean, he's a bigger boy. I mean, we're getting some bigger boys here. They live like one of his 40 times they have it 4.46, and it was 4.45 for the last guy. So they're very comparable. He'll play this year. Good for a dual back kind of system to get there to fit into the pros. But he could be the pounder, and he'll be the guy that you'll have a little longer. And touchdown ceiling for the big back in those systems is, I guess, touchdown floor should be lower because that's what they want unless you're in Philadelphia, because most people don't want to kill their quarterback. So I'd say it could totally be not much receiving. I would say probably more bruising than receiving.
Oh yeah.
But then again, so next
guy, so speaking of Derrick Henry, the biggest guy in this draft, Braylon Allen, 6'3", 240. Other than his size and power, I mean, there's not much there. He is a really good blocker. I did notice that. So that might help him out a little bit transitioning to the NFL. Did see a couple fumble problems. He's not, like I said, he's just a straightaway runner, so there's not much missing or broken tackle. He can't break a tackle being as big as he is. Doesn't catch much of course, he's out of Wisconsin, so you know the history of the Wisconsin running back. So looking at the rookie search numbers, I give him 6 stars here. I think he's more in line with maybe the second guy in a 2-back system, being that he is that big, more like the goal line, maybe the thunder to somebody's lightning.
You hear the irony of this is like a lot of these guys get overlooked that have the power. Of the backs we've got, he's had the most receptions last year. But that's because Wisconsin runs, and then they run, and then they run, and then they double. I mean, but he only had 131 yards receiving on 28%. But at least his hands caught the ball, so it could be like I like the big back. Like I would love to see this guy show up on my team, because just getting that big, just guy that you don't want to hit you, bigger the better. And he's faster than the last 2 guys. I'm all about this guy.
Well, that was a problem. He didn't look all that fast on tape. And then when the combine came around, he kind of refused to run the 40. So that kind of scared me a little bit. But who knows? We'll get his pro day. The next guy, I think this guy's probably got the most, like, I don't want to say name recognition, but that's Blake Corum out of Michigan. I mean, his stats are amazing. I mean, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of yards, but that's what happens when you're on a team that has a great offensive line and just runs the ball straight up the middle, just like 40 times a game. But he's like 5'7", almost 5'8", 205. So he's a little shorter, but the weight is there. He got surprising power for being, that small of a guy. His big play is not all that great. He's not fast. I think he ran a 4.5 at the combine. So he's not going to break away speed. And he can make people miss a little, but I mean, I mean, this guy's just running up the middle every time. And he just doesn't have a lot of breakaway speed. So the rookie search number, give him another 6 stars like Braylon Allen. I think he's more the second guy in a two back system.
He's the guy in here that I want to get the most for no reason at all, other than he's from the neighboring county. So he's about 30 minutes from my house. Is where he's from Fauquier County, Virginia. So it's exciting to see somebody like within our bubble here. And I always support men with massive calves because I am a short and stout man. He's only 3 inches taller than me with giant calves. I can appreciate my brother from another calf mother. But I will get some if I can find some way in this world to get at least one Blake Corum this year. It would make me so happy to just see him. And I mean, does he, if he puts on a couple pounds, isn't he built like Maurice Jones-Drew?
I mean, yeah, a lot of people are built
pocket
like
hamster
a lot
or
of
the
people,
pocket hamster.
I mean, yeah, he stands. I mean, he's going to be okay. Like I said, it's just not much shiftiness there. From what I see, it's just. He's okay when he's finding the hole, but like with the Michigan offense, it's just terrible. They're just running up the middle every time.
I mean, he only had 24 touchdowns.
Oh yeah. So what happens when those touchdowns don't translate, right?
I say you made the point I was ready to say. What happens when he's not running behind the Michigan line? What if he ends up going to some team that just has a crud line? Then we'll find out if it was him or if it was Harbaugh. In the
it was definitely Harbaugh on the offensive line. So the last guy here we'll do is Jalen Wright out of Tennessee. This guy's pretty flashy. He's got the speed. I think he ran like a 4.38, so the speed's there. Size is there. I mean, 210. I think he's 5'11", 210. So he's got good size. Big play potential all over the place. Not much of a blocker. Not much of a receiver. Not a lot of power. I think this guy, I gave him 5 3/4 star. Not as high as Blake Corum, but I think the ceiling would be a little higher for Jalen Wright. I think he can get into the NFL, maybe possibly catch a few more balls. But I think the speed and the big playability, once you get him on the outside, I think he's still another number 2 in a 2-back system, which is fine. You're going to need these kind of guys.
But NFL is, I mean, how many teams don't run 2 backs? I mean, for a while, we thought Bijan was going to be stuck in a 2-back system. And it's smart, like especially if another rumor that we didn't even touch on is there's talk of an 18-game season.
Yep.
So they go to 18 games. You're running 2 or 3 backs because they'll die. I mean, they're going to limit how much they run. I mean, the dude's got Devon Achane type yard per carry at that 7.4 up there, and so he'd be a nice compliment. I mean, he's still got decent size too, because I mean, Achane did that at like 35 pounds. I mean, this dude's fast as the wind, faster than he's the fastest guy you mentioned so far, and I would love to have. I mean, and with his size there, he could still hit the hole. But you never know. Tennessee's always it's a weird school with players coming out.
Their offense is they run that spread offense. I mean, they got people.
That's why he gets 7.4, right? Because it's so open. Lanes are there.
Yeah. That's all. It's just he's just chucking off 10, 15 yards at a time. So so that's running backs. I'll do tight ends at another time. The only really tight end we're in there is Brock Bowers at the moment.
That's it. Right?
Any final thoughts on running backs?
No, running backs, if anything in the world I've learned in my rookie drafts is running back, if you need one, build receivers, trade for receivers, and I just draft the snot out of running backs in some of my leagues. Just draft, and this year is supposed to be the wide receiver class of the decade, but I've heard that 1,000 times. But we know that running backs touch the ball. So if you've got a running back in the top 10, try to get them. See if you can find that sneaky guy on a team where you're like, ooh, he ended up being the number 2, because as we saw this year, I mean, how many running backs were valuable? Like because they get hurt so quick, or you might get a couple games and all of a sudden they're like, oh, look here, this kid named Will Shipley is out of Clemson. He's going to be an all-star running back. You never thought that because you'd never really thought of, because you're looking at all the big boys there. But if you see a running back on the board and you're like, I don't know what else to get, pull him out of a hat, because they can show up out of nowhere especially in the right situation. Like, remember how down we were? I'm bringing it up again, but Devon Achane, we hated him. Like, we didn't hate him, but we're like, dude, this guy's got nothing. And then it's that situation. He ran into basically a spread fast offense, and as long as he doesn't get tackled, he was okay. So
Like that's a lot of running backs. As long as they don't get
yeah,
tackled, you'd be awesome.
That's the running basically the rookie schedule. Yeah, we know the tight end. We'll be talking about him more as we get farther on, but JJ Wang will continue his expert film watching to get us ready for the NFL season. So if you give us some words of wisdom, and then we're going to close out with the last half of the Bourbon Bowl.
Yeah, so words of wisdom. I enjoy talking about wrestling so much. I want to talk about wrestling for a couple of seconds here before we start. Of course, we know The Rock came back, right? The Rock's been doing these evidently 19-minute promos that are extremely long. Have you seen them for TV?
I don't have 20 minutes to waste on The Rock.
You can see the cameraman over in the corner, like, let's go, Rock, let's go, Rock. I mean, like, I like The Rock, don't get me wrong, but I want to know what your thoughts of him. The way he comes to the ring, he stands there and he'll wait for the crowd to react, and he'll just stand there. I just hate when wrestlers do that. They wait for the crowd reaction. They'll stop talking, and then they'll be like, and then they force the crowd to talk. But that's kind of what The Rock does. So are you excited that The Rock is back?
They're not. I don't like what they're doing with this character. So not that much. Like they've. I think he might turn, but because you got the whole L1 or whatever. But you can't take one of the great. Well, he's on the Mount Rushmore of WWE, or right there at the cusp of it. If not, and you're bringing him in as a secondary character to a guy who got on the Mount Rushmore for not being around.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, Roman Reigns has been the man over the last couple years, but The Rock has not been a secondary character here. I mean, he has completely taken over the bloodline. Roman Reigns barely talks. He just stands back in the corner, and The Rock just has all the television time. So The Rock is nowhere near the second, and I kind of like the heel character.
I don't mind the heel. I thought they were going to use it to make Roman become good, or so. I don't know, because he's not the head of the table.
Well, I mean, I think that's. I mean, I think the eventual turn for Roman is coming. I think it works better with Rock being the bad guy here, and then you can make the turn later. But I think they've done a good job with it so far. I mean, I kind of enjoy it.
And also something to notice before you close us out with that, before we go to Bourbon Bowl, is I saw today a thing. If you watch the Bourbon Bowl in his background, if it's blue, if the eyes are blue, he's good Rock. If the eyes are red, he's heel Rock.
Yeah, all right. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, maybe that'll show one day. So, as always, right?
Yeah, as always, trust yourself and trust the process.
So if you're sticking around right now with us, you might want to hear about our league called the Bourbon Bowl. JJ Wang last week went over 6 teams, and this week we'll do the last 6 teams sort of as a treat to our league mates. So who are we starting with?
Yeah, so we'll rehash last week real quick. We had Skywalkers, Stop Looking at My Tight Ends, Bijan Musterson, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and then the name change, we had CD's Nuts. I totally messed that one up last week. And then JJ Wang's Dynasty Diamonds. So that was 1 through 6. So we'll start with number 7. If you want to pull up, if you can go through the rosters, you'll call through the rosters, and then we'll just go from there. It's Flash My DK. I think that's the number 7 guy here. So you want to run through the roster real quick, and we'll just go through that.
He's changed his name on me.
God, let's go back then. Damn it. Okay.
Yeah, see, we're not any good at computers. He was the only one that doesn't have a picture by him, so I got it here for you now. So some highlights of the roster for Flash My DK. Quarterback, Josh Allen, the man. Then Derek Carr's there, and then a bunch of putzes. So quarterback is definitely in need there. Saquon, running back, we'll find out the future of him if Saquon's healthy. Stellar. He's got the running back room of free agents. Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley. So either it could be risky because, when players switch teams, high or low, you go to receiver, headlined by A.J. Brown. They got Amari Cooper, DK Metcalf, and that's about it. And then his tight ends, I believe that recently re-signed Hunter Henry, Tyler Higbee, who's probably going to lose some roles, Cole Kmet. But he does have another quarterback. He's got Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones there on the bench. So he's got his 3 quarterbacks he needs, but he's not deep.
Well, he might have his 3 quarterbacks he needs, but he's only got 1 quarterback that's pretty much guaranteed, to finish
Kirk
out a
Cousins?
season here. We don't know what Kirk Cousins is going to do. We don't know what Daniel Jones is going to do. Derek Carr is awful. So I mean, he might want to get another guy there, running backs. I mean, he's got, like you said, like you always say, you only need to start one. He's got two really good ones. I think Josh Jacobs could definitely be his number one. And with receivers, he does got Zay Jones. I mean, that might help out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, overall, he needs a little help at tight end. But I mean, again, that's why he's number 7 here. He's got a little work that needs to be done.
Maybe Isaiah Spiller takes that jump without what's his name?
Oh, yeah, maybe. I'm still hoping for Isaiah Spiller. Next guy, we got at number 8, we got Beach Bums.
Oh, the Beach Bums. I'm trying to pull it up as you're doing it. Beach Bums, they are highlighted with the quarterback of one guy, Jordan Love. And
well, you also had Justin Herbert there.
His bench, he's still got guys, illegal rosters. I'm going through the main rosters. These guys have illegal rosters. So if you're listening to this, fix your rosters. So Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, and Jordan Love. He's got 3 guys. If Deshaun ever shows up again, that's not too shabby. But he's got 2 good starting quarterbacks there. Then you're going into his running back room is in trouble. Cook is done. Eckler, I've heard rumors he'll probably re-sign. Will Jerome Ford lose all of his touches to Chubb this year? And then Devin Singletary looks good, but what's he going to be doing next year? So running backs are in big old trouble. And then he's got Mr. Boutte, which doesn't matter. Dotson, Godwin, Quentin Johnston, Cooper Kupp's his stud receiver there. And how is he not number 11? His tight ends he's got a tight end group that could be the next level following when my guys fall off, because he's got Jake Ferguson, who stepped up last year. Daniel Bellinger has the talent to be the next guy. Freiermuth, we both love. Juwan Johnson can give you weeks, and K. Dot. And I love his tight end room as far as super flex tight ends. He's building something there, but got some work to do in other places.
I mean, yeah, these last 4 or 5 teams, I mean, they're kind of hard to rank. They're all kind of the same. But yeah, I mean, like his quarterback room is fantastic. So I mean, if you're going to start somewhere, if you're going to have something awesome, right, have an awesome quarterback room. Running backs, I think running backs can be fixed rather easily. You can draft 3 or 4 in the draft if you're able to. One of them might hit. And then receivers probably going to need a little help there, but. I mean, this is what happens when you're not a playoff team. Your teams just don't look all that great. So I mean, like everybody in the league's got work to do. So I mean, this is what's next. Chilling with Mahomes is next. This was like the hardest guy to put back here because I feel like he's always competing. I think he's more of like a contender than he is more of a dynasty team. So go ahead and break it down with that.
Yeah, that's how he builds. He's a sneaky trader. If I know anything about my brother Doug here, so. Chilling with Mahomes comes from Patrick Mahomes being the lead, followed by Dak Prescott. Problem is, if they get injured, he is dead. Going into the running back room, we're looking at a whole lot of Tony Pollard and DeAndre Swift. And then Nick Chubb. He hit the Chubb wall last year. J.K. Dobbins depends where he signs. He's got a stacked illegal IR violation room. He's got Hollywood Brown and Tank Dell are sitting there from his receivers, followed by Keenan Allen, who they're going to cut him, don't you think, for the money?
I think it's very possible. He'll probably get picked up somewhere.
He'll have a job, but he won't be with Herbert. So
I think
he ended up in New England or something stupid. And then he's got the 2024 MVP and Tyreek Hill on his team coming up, and his tight ends are, I'm not even going to name them because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's obviously the biggest downfall. Pretty much like my team. No tight ends, and when you're in a tight end premium, you're definitely going to have to figure out what you're going to do at tight end. Got some high-end quarterbacks, but I think the overall roster needs a lot of influx of depth here. I think he's got a little high-end in Tyreek Hill, but after that, there is a struggle. And number 10, the Bryce is right.
Now this is the king of rebuilds. He was last year's big rebuild team. And unfortunately, he named his team after Bryce Young. So you know where we're going here. So we're looking at a stellar quarterback room of Russell Wilson, Bryce Young, Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, realistically, his hope is that Gardner signs a contract and gets to start next year. That would help his team immensely because he was I mean, Russell Wilson, for as terrible as he was, still, what was it, 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He just looked bad.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Running back room has Zach Moss and Ramondre Stevenson as the best running backs, and a bunch of other
He
guys.
does have Jahmyr Gibbs, does he not?
Oh, sorry, Jameer. Oh, sorry, Jameer. Love you, brother. Yeah, Jameer Gibbs in there. So that's the best player on his team thus far. Then we're getting into the wide receivers. T. Higgins, so he's got a number 2 receiver. He's got Trey Palmer. I mean, that's all that really matters. The overlooked and a guy to keep out for that I might put on a deep sleeper this year, an A.T. Perry, who had a couple games last year. And can you believe this guy has Laviska Shenault on his team? Yeah, way to rock it, Alex. There, and then he's got a ton of tight ends, and he does have the best tight end in the league. So the other guys are a bunch of sandbags, but he does have Sam Laporta on his team. So the future, he's set at tight end for there. Always want to get 2 or 3, but he's set at tight end, and good luck.
Yeah, he's got a tight end 1. He's got an RB 1. He really hopes Bryce Young turns into a QB 1. We'll see what happens there. T. Higgins, it's solid number 2. We're going to have to do something there. I'll bring in another high end wide receiver, because you can't roll with T. Higgins as your wide receiver 1. And, I mean, you do got Laviska Shenault, so much problem.
Remember how hot he was?
Yeah, I was all over that guy. I love me some Laviska.
Me too.
Actually, I think in the league, I still have Laviska Shenault in the league, so I'm right there with him. Number 11, Octopodes Nuts. I hope I said that right.
Yeah, it's an octopus, and he just wanted to say nuts. So so we're looking here. He's a past champion, one of the teams that just kept beating me, so I can't get a championship, and now he's in deep trouble. So we're looking at he's got the best starting quarterback in Baker Mayfield. That's it. Unless Tannehill goes somewhere. His running backs are ETN. Madison just got cut. Pacheco and Jalen Warren to get some touches there.
Does have Zach Charbonnet, it looks like.
Oh, Zach. Oh, man, I'm missing some guys today. I'm just reading down the roster. Yeah, Charbonnet is there, so it's another hit or miss committee guy. Receivers, we're looking at Jordan Addison, good young talent there. Zay Flowers, good young talent there. Josh Palmer, who knows? He's a guy that has shown flashes, could step up there, especially for number 3. He's got Evan Ingram, who looks great, and then I missed his illegal roster bench, which is only got T.J. Hawkinson there. So his tight ends, I like his tight end room. He's got the Jonnu Smith, the newly minted number one tight end for Miami Dolphins next year. So if he can do what he did this year and catch some touchdowns, that'll help alleviate some inside catches. Evan Ingram and T.J. Hawkinson. So he'll probably trade Jonnu Smith to me pretty soon. So we'll see where we go from there.
So we're looking at the team looks okay. I mean, we got a solid running back room, a pretty good wide receivers, pretty good tight end, but unfortunately that quarterback room is struggling. And when it comes to super flex leagues, your quarterback room cannot be struggling. So you got a lot of work to do.
Something else is elite. You could survive if you have something else. Like you would need that Skywalker's Jefferson, the top 3 receivers. Like throw Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and Jamar Chase. I'll run with one quarterback every day if I get all 3 of those guys.
Oh yeah. If you can have something like that, but I don't think his other pieces are good, but he's not on that level. And then the last guy bringing up the rear, we got Colorado Spring.
Oh no, his name now is I Suck at Fantasy Football. He changed it again.
That guy. So let's run through this roster. Which I want to say, 2 years ago, this was one of my favorite rosters. He was up and coming. I was like, this guy really knows what he's doing, and then it just went downhill ever since.
He loves to trade. That's really the key. It's like an itch. He's got that that meme we have of Dave Chappelle with the Coke all over his face. That's him all the time. When it comes to trades, he'll trade just for fun. He likes to be active. We'll bounce things off each other all the time. But his quarterback room is headed by Malik Willis and a bunch of other guys. Some guy named Trevor Lawrence and some guy named Aaron Rodgers. So the hope is that Aaron Rodgers can get into the positive points this year, and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's a top 12 quarterback, so he's got a QB1 right there in our league. Going to running backs. There is literally nobody on that who I would want on my team. AJ Dillon, nope. Tank Bigsby, nope. Rico Dowdle, nope.
I did hear Tank Bigsby was going to get more run going into next year. So
You thought he was more than I did. I was an 18. You were a Tank Bigsby. So was he. Then you go to his receivers. You're stuck in the same. He got Olave. And hopefully he has a lot of trade. Wan'Dale Robinson, if he can get out of his own way, but he won't. He's got my boy Rashid Shaheed, and then the oft-injured, very rich Mike Williams. Tight ends, Dalton Kincaid. So he's got a tight end there. So he's got his work cut out for him. I'm not sure how much money he has because, as he says, I suck at fantasy football. We still love you, Scott. Thanks for organizing the league. But I mean, he's been on our show twice. What's it say about us? I don't know.
Yeah, I love the guy. I mean, but hey, when you make some questionable calls, we got to work through this. We're here to help you out. That running back room, I think everything could be managed, but I think the running back room is where you're going to need a lot of work there. You got Chris Olave. Well, after that, that's about it. So you're going to need a lot of work there too. But I know you don't like to work on running backs first, but you need to get somebody in there that's going to get a few yards.
The thing is, there's so many other needs. You can almost wait and then put a sandbag in at running back to get through there. So
that is true. That's probably the route that I would go. Yeah, it's probably right. So
yeah,
that's all 12 teams. Go ahead.
Bourbon Bowl rolling, and we will get some other teams soon. We might even have to decide if we wait till those leagues fill. We got 2 leagues with holes. So if anybody's looking to join the Fantasy Couriers League, we got 2 leagues, only $25 to join. We have 2 spots on 2 dynasty leagues. One of them is an outrageously big roster. One of them is sort of a standard super flex. They're both super flex. So hit us up. So until next time, see you next week, JJ Wang.
See you next week.